And I know for a lot of people, there's probably not a better way to kick this thing off than kick off a week that's going to be nutty around here. And talking about college hoops in San Diego State and BYU, then maybe the most popular person associated with the sport from a broadcast standpoint, and that would be none other than ESPN's Dick Vitale, who's on the hotline here on a Monday on XX 1090. Dickie V, thank you very much. Darren Smith out in San Diego, a pleasure, and a happy President's Day.
Well, thanks a lot. It's only a pleasure being on with you. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement out there in the beautiful city of San Diego. Man, I love San Diego. I came down to two cities when I was ready to move from Michigan. It was San Diego, or it was right now where I'm living in the Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida area. And it was the travel that really made me, finally decide that I had so many games on the East Coast that flying back and forth would be tough. But anytime I get a chance to visit beautiful sunny San Diego, man, they shouldn't. Right there, they shouldn't pay people to work there.
Hey.
It's unbelievable to live out there.
Dickie V, you're killing us on that one. We're all about leverage in this market. You understand that. I mean, So instead of being a Tampa Bay Rays fan, you quite possibly could have been a Padre fan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love going down there and see the Padres at that stadium. Beautiful stadium right there. Stay in the hotels and go down to that district out there, the Italian area. The Italian restaurants are absolutely phenomenal. My buddy Mike Brunker, who used to be a member of my coaching staff and runs the Jackie Robinson situation down there for young kids, he always takes me down to great Italian restaurants down there, Italian Row.
Dick Vitale from ESPN on XX 1090. So I've got to ask today, with these rankings coming out and seeing what happened in college basketball this week with all the upsets, especially inside the top five, were you surprised? Anything surprise you about either the AP or the coaches poll when it came out?
I really, right now, I don't really go crazy for these polls because obviously the beauty of college basketball is that you're going to have a real true champ come March. I mean, there's no dodging. There's no situations where, like in football, a TCU doesn't get an opportunity to be part of a chance to chase the dream of being a national champ. I mean, in college hoops, all those teams that play in the NCAA tournament have that one magical moment where they have that chance to chase that dream. Like, who would have ever thought in 2006 that a George Mason would go to the Final Four and beat elite programs like Michigan State and Connecticut and North Carolina? So I know I've been getting tweets, I got my Twitter. If people go to twitter.com/DickieV, I've been getting tweets. Hey, San Diego State, man, getting a raw deal. They're not in the top 3 or 4. What's going on with that East Coast bias? And I get a kick out of that because obviously, we've given them so much love, and they deserve their love. Leonard and Gabe been phenomenal. Steve Fisher's done a magnificent job in a program that was dead prior to his arrival. He's done a phenomenal job there, creating excitement, enthusiasm. And now they got that big game, as you talked about earlier, with Jimmer Fredette and BYU coming to town.
Well, you mentioned it, and I know people, you're going to have a view that's a little bit different because you're an employee, but in your most honest opinion here, how much does it hurt San Diego State that they aren't on your network, that they don't play games on your network?
I think it does hurt. I really do. I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but I think the fact of visibility, exposure of getting on ESPN today is vital for people to get really to see how good they are. I don't think a lot of people here realize how good they are. But, certainly being in the top 6 in the nation, I mean, is that something to cry about? I mean, the teams ahead of them are pretty good, too. I mean, they play a very, very competitive schedule. I'm not saying certainly the Mountain West is better than people believe, especially when you got to go on a road in Vegas and BYU and San Diego State. I mean, those are not easy trips. But from top to bottom, I mean, you take a look at the Big East, take a look at the conferences out there like the Big 12 and certainly the Big 10. The ACC is not vintage ACC this year, but it still has some quality teams. So, again, I think, you hear that cry about bias. It's not about bias. It's about the fact that you look across America, you look at the strength of what people play, and you make a statement. But then it's up to those people now. They're going to get a chance, a real legitimate chance, tournament time, to prove to everybody, hey, we are the best.
How seriously, though, do you think San Diego State, how well do you think they compare to, let's say, the best of the best from the other conferences?
I think right now they're a legitimate team. I mean, there's no doubt they can beat anybody on a given day on a neutral floor. Now, they haven't been there for that moment. To have that moment, you don't know how that affects them. When you look at kids like, for example, the Duke kids, Singler and Nolan Smith, they've been there. There's a certain amount of pressure at that time that's very unique. It's a one-and-done scenario. How you respond at a tough time in that moment of that game, and have you been there before, all can play a point. But San Diego State, personnel-wise, watching them play, I've seen them on the tube, and I'm going to tell you, they are flat-out legitimate.
And you have great relationships with these coaches. How much credit should we be giving to Steve Fisher? I give him a ton. How much do you give him?
Oh, I'll tell you right now, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, that program was dead prior to his arrival. Now, he knows something about winning. He did it. He was standing tall with the gold trophy in '89. I mean, I can't believe it's already '89, but Steve has done a phenomenal job, and he's really elevated that program to status. I mean, really, out there it was dead, and now they got everybody there talking Aztec basketball.
Talking to Dick Vitale from ESPN. So this week, I mean, pretty big game. How much attention will you be paying to BYU on the road playing San Diego State this weekend?
I'll be paying a lot of attention. I really will. I have a game that night. I have a game on our game day crew. We're doing a game with Duke, #1 now, coming into Virginia Tech on the road. But you better believe I'll be paying attention during the afternoon on what's happening with BYU and certainly what's happening there to San Diego State. Should be a special moment.
Who do you like in that game? I don't know if you're the prediction type, but do you have a lean one way or the other?
I don't like predicting games, but I will tell you this. I think it'd be very difficult for Jimmer Fredette to duplicate what he did when he put on the 43 and put an incredible show on when they beat San Diego State. I think they'll be primed for him. I think playing on the road there. I mean, this is a game that San Diego State, they want to be up there with the elite. You got to win on your home floor, especially against a team that has already beaten you. You got to show that you're as good and maybe make up just like Purdue did after getting whacked by Ohio State, and Ohio State came back and beat them yesterday. So I think it's a game you got to give the edge to San Diego State playing at home, and the revenge factor alone, the hunger factor. I mean, Jimmer's flat out. He is super. The kid can flat out score in so many variety of ways, not just catch and shoot the ball. He puts it to the floor as well.
Who do you think's the best team in the country?
Right now, the best team in the country, doesn't mean they deserve to have the vote #1 in the country, but I think right now when you look across America, look at all the parts of a team that I think is going to be tough to beat come tournament time, and something I could change by them. But having seen a number of these clubs, I give the slightest edge, and I mean slightest, to Ohio State. They got the great post player inside, the best guy in the middle, and Jared Sullinger, 2 lightning guys on the wings, Buford and Lighty. They got a guard that's very, very heady and craft. I like that team a lot. Their 2 losses, people say they lost 2 this last week. Well, look where they lost to. They lost to Purdue at Purdue, who's undefeated at home. They lost to Wisconsin at Wisconsin, and they're undefeated at home. I don't know many teams that can go in there and beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin or Purdue at Purdue.
It's impossible to sit here today and tell you, and me or Dick Vitale, and tell you who you think's going to win the championship, because you don't know the way the brackets are going to come out and who's going to have to face whom. But how many teams do you think you can make an argument for that are potential, that are candidates to win the national championship?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really is, because really, I think there are a lot of teams out there that could win 2 in a row and get to the Sweet 16, but I don't think there are many that can win 6 in a row. San Diego State certainly is one of those that can. I think anywhere from, just guessing the top of my head here, 12 to 15 teams that could really win 6 in a row and stand with the gold trophy. I think there are a lot of teams' limitations start popping up when they get into that Sweet 16.
That includes both teams from the Mountain West?
Yeah, I think they both definitely have a legitimate shot. A kid like Fredette, I mean, he can carry. He did last year in that first round against Florida. He put a show on. I mean, if he goes on a roll, you never know, man. You never know.
Dickie V, always a pleasure, Dickie V. How do you like Manny Ramirez and Johnny Damon, by the way, joining your club?
Oh, we love it because it gives a little buzz here. We were really dead. We were dead. I don't know if they'll ever be, if they could be half of what they were. We got great pitching with Price, and now there's Kid Hellickson in rotation, and you look at Davis and certainly Neiman. We got some real, you got Shields. got good starters. Now it's a matter of what about the relief, the bullpen, as we lost Soriano and company. Hey, I need one little help here, though. I really do. Something very important to me, raising money for pediatric cancer. And if anybody wants to help me, please go to DickVitaleOnline.com, and you could get my new book that just came out, Dickie V's ABCs. It's for little kids between the ages of 2 and 6, selling like crazy, and all my proceeds from the book is going to pediatric cancer, not 50%, all of it. And then we have a big Dick Vitale gala where we're going to raise $1 million plus, like we've done 5 years in a row, and all of that's going to be going toward kids battling cancer. So please go to DickVitaleOnline.com, and you can donate, or you can buy my book, get an autographed copy, and you can help us, because too many kids out there are fighting that disease. I just talked to a mom and dad today who bought my book, and they broke up in tears, and I said, why the tears, you know? And they said, well, it's a little bit too late for us. We lost our little 4-year-old son. And I was just, crushed when you hear that, crushed.
Well, Dickie V, you have, and I'm sure a lot of this is from the days of working with Jim Valvano in that relationship. You have always done great things with regards to that cause, and it's always appreciated, and we'll encourage people to go to DickVitaleOnline.com. Dickie V, thank you very much.
You tell my man Steve Fisher I want him to come to our gala. He's a star now, and he better not forget us for the V Foundation on May 20th. Steve Fisher, if you hear me, somebody tell Steve Fisher that Dickie V is screaming loud and clear that he wants Steve Fisher to be at our Dick Vitale gala, where over 50 coaches will be in attendance. Be some television of it on ESPN, and there'll be a blast. We want him there. Tell him to call me. Give him my number.
We'll give him, absolutely. Leave it with us, and we'll make sure that happens. Thanks.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, Dick.